This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you may have missed this morning. We also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 8th of November 2022, and I am GK.
I am MC Squared.
And I am 2J, and in case you missed today's headlines, here they are. In the Daily Nation, reversed. In the Standard, load of hot air. Murkomen fails to give SGR deal. In the Star, dilemma. Ruto-Raila allies battle for 9 jobs. Tongue twister. Yes. And in the People Daily, universities cry foul. So last week, we asked whether there is a way for President Ruto to turn his bad luck around. For some reason, Ruto's first 100 days have attracted crisis after crisis with little to no resolution. Our recommendation was to read Law 10 of the 48 Laws of Power. It tells leaders to avoid the unhappy and unlucky, for their state is infectious. And instead to associate with the happy and the fortunate, for their luck will rub off on you. But at the Fort Hall School of Government, we are a school of solutions.
Absolutely.
And if national pessimism is hurting country, it is our duty to be problem solvers. So we want to remind Dr. Ruto of Murphy's first law, which states that if anything can go wrong, it will go wrong at the worst possible time, all the time, all at once.
Exactly.
The law dictates that in any endeavor, when things are left to themselves, they will always go from bad to worse. And I think it is fair to say that the Ruto administration has landed squarely at the front door of Murphy's Law.
Absolutely.
To explore this, we only have to look at today's headlines. 1. How did the KQ strike go from bad to worse?
How?
A simple labor negotiation has somehow become an exercise in cost wasting and press conferences. And we could be wrong, but the government has responded with the stick, not the carrot, to resolve this crisis. 2. What did CS Murkomen expect when he promised the country the juicy details of the SGR agreement and instead delivered hot air, as the Standard reports? We cannot forget that this is the same SGR that UDA MPs and senators once praised when they themselves were in Jubilee. Again, we could be wrong, but is the government underestimating the intelligence of its people? And 3, is the government serious that they will defund all public universities? Did they not consider a student uproar from this statement? So we ask, does William Ruto thrive in a crisis like MC Squared told us yesterday? Or is he drowning in scandals at the worst possible time, all the time, all at once? Now, a pessimist would be discouraged by a literal reading of Murphy's Law, that anything that can go wrong will go wrong. But that is the nature of those very people who attract and infect others with their bad luck. In our opinion, Murphy's first law is actually about opportunity. And this is exactly where a solution may lie for William Ruto. So Murphy's first law is actually about foresight. In fact, with the knowledge that everything can go wrong, you are forced to plan for that failure. Therefore, the solution to Murphy's Law is to install mechanisms to prevent things from getting worse. We will call these mechanisms idiot-proofing.
I love it.
Put simply, William Ruto needs to idiot-proof his government in order to stabilize. Now, we mean no offense here, but the concept of idiot-proofing refers to making systems extremely easy to use and conscious of human error. For President Ruto to idiot-proof his government, he must stop reacting and start planning. He must get his inexperienced and hot-headed CSs in line. Reactive decision-making is concerned with making quick decisions under pressure. To be great, he must be proactive and see problems before we, the public, see them arise.
Absolutely.
And we believe he's up to that task. Right now, Ruto is in Egypt, charming the West. Will he return with a plan to make country run? Can he tell apart the idiots from the leaders? So we leave him with a warning. A caveat to the solution of Murphy's Law is Graves' Law. And it states, if you make something idiot-proof, the world will create a better idiot.
Wow, wow. Speaking of that sentiment, today news broke out that a section of UDA MPs led by Fafi MP Salah Yakub want to scrap the presidential term limit and replace it with an age limit. According to this suggested rule, you cannot run for president if you are over the age of 75. But if you're under 75, then you can run as many times as you would like. For example, for the 55-year-old President Ruto, this means that he could run and be president until 2042. Under the current two-term limit, Ruto's presidency ends in 2032. Thus, if enacted, the age limit will extend his term by a decade. He could nearly rule nearly as long as the political headmaster that is Moi. This news does not surprise us at all. After all, nobody gains power with the aim of relinquishing it. And if the plot is legit, Ruto wouldn't be the first leader trying to do similar things. Denis Sassou Nguesso of Congo-Brazzaville in 2016 led a campaign to remove both the age and term limit, allowing him to run again. By the way, he has been president for a total of 38 years. And other leaders like Putin of Russia and Museveni have also done similar actions. But we have some questions that we would need addressed. Question 1, how will this process actually work? The two-term limit is a key component of our constitution. Article 255 highlights 10 issues that can only be changed through a national referendum. And unsurprisingly, the presidential term limit is one of these 10 issues. This means that if the MPs would like to go through with this change, they would need the support of a majority of Kenyans. Do they have it? Question 2, why the age limit? Is it a coincidence that Raila is now 77? Is this plan all about trying to keep Raila from running again in 2027? Has this idea been floated in an attempt to finish Raila once and for all? To me, it seems a little questionable. Question 3, why now? We need not remind anyone that Ruto has not yet finished 2 months in office. Yet, as 2J you so beautifully said, the politics has not stopped, and at the same time, the crises are piling up. The first 100 days in office are about implementing your promises. But so far, we have seen political witch hunts and the economy continuing to decline. Now is not the right time. And finally, is this plot actually legit? Once this news was received by the public, leading UDA officials came out to condemn Yakub and company. But are they doing this because they disagree or because of the public outcry?
Good question.
Or maybe these MPs are dog whistling of a referendum that will come, not now, but down the line. Or are these MPs simply trying to please and praise their savior, William Ruto? We do not know. But what we do know is that it is our opinion that this conversation is happening far too soon. We would like the Hustler Fund first.
Completely agree. Definitely.
Agreed. And again, talking of Ruto, in today's nation, we see that President Ruto has reversed or cancelled a total of 16 decisions, policies or projects done by Uhuru Kenyatta.
Can you imagine that?
It began with removing unga and fuel subsidies. Then he abolished Kazi Mtaani, introduced by Uhuru in 2020. Now, country knows the contents of the SGR contract, which Uhuru had refused to make public despite a court order. The story of Ruto reversing Uhuru's policies and projects can only be explained by George Orwell's fable, Animal Farm, also known as Shamba la Wanyama.
Of course.
And we would like to dedicate this fable to the Hustler Nation. In Shamba la Wanyama, the story is about a leader with a plan and a detractor executing a scheme. Once upon a time, a leader called Snowball in this fable and completed the plans to build a windmill. He had drawn them on a huge piece of paper which he laid on the floor. All the animals came to look at the drawings and get inspired. But a pig called Napoleon stayed away. like Ruto and Uhuru's projects, Napoleon hated Snowball's windmill, but did not say why. Then one day, he arrived without giving notice. He lifted his left leg and urinated all over the plants, destroying them. And this is Ruto for you. He has peed on Uhuru's decisions, policies, and projects without giving alternatives, or even telling us why. When he abolished the unga and fuel subsidies, he said we spent 150 billion shillings, which to him was too much. He has not given us an alternative yet. Meanwhile, hustlers are waiting for unga to drop to 70 shillings, as Ruto had promised in the campaigns. Like Napoleon, Ruto has also not told us why he hates Uhuru's policies. When he abolished kazi mtaani, he said the work of the youth should not be collecting garbage. But while campaigning, he told the young hustlers that kazi ni kazi, and the wheelbarrow can be used to collect garbage. So what is Ruto planning to do? Our thinking is that Ruto will rebrand all these projects and policies he has reversed. After peeing on Snowball's windmill plan, Napoleon later took the ruined plan, dried it, and implemented it as his own. Then he convinced the animals that the projects were his in the first place. Is it possible Ruto will implement all these projects again and convince the hustlers that they were his in the first place? Or perhaps Ruto is following Law 41 of Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power.
Okay.
It states that you must avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. To follow that law, you must undo everything your predecessor did and set your own path. Is this what Ruto is doing? If Ruto is setting his own path, then we must wish him Godspeed. However, if he has no plan, then Ruto is planning to fail.
Wow.
We've given a lot of advice, words of wisdom, I believe. Yes. And on that note, we have a 3-part criteria that we use to judge the headlines by. We ask ourselves, is this headline topical or speculative, repetitive or groundbreaking, and thoughtful or just plain lazy? I think that today is actually quite an easy headline
Daily
day.
Nation.
Yeah.
I think the Daily Nation reversed, I think it is punchy, to the point, and it really just encapsulates what is happening right now.
Beautiful.
The rest of it, I think we can toss. The Standard, the Star, the People Daily. There we have it. The Daily Nation gives us our winning headline. On to the political pieces that we call cartoons, where we also have a 3-part criteria.
Yeah.
We ask ourselves, is this cartoon humorous or dry, satirical or pessimistic, and effective or just plain lazy? I want to suggest that we begin with Gado of the Standard.
All right. Okay, so you have here what is a headless man with the police regalia, and next to him is a sign that says, "New head required, vetting in progress." And opposite him is Wanjiko, looking and sort of in disbelief, in shock. I don't know what her facial expression is right there. This is all about the vetting process for the nominated new IG, who is supposed to be Japheth Kome. He's been doing his vetting process today. I think he even told us his net worth was about 89 million shillings.
Modest, I guess.
Modest. Very modest.
Don't have much to judge it by, but modest. Yeah, I think it's a simple cartoon. I don't know if there's anything that we can really say is him.
What I would say about this cartoon is Gado telling us that the head, it's a rotating head of IGs.
Of the same thing.
Right? And I would think that in the context of violence, or having the monopoly over the instruments of violence, the body is what has the strength. But then again, I would then question, doesn't the head have the brains? So I don't know what Gado could be telling us there. As always, we say that you have to read in between the lines with our dear friend Gado.
That's an excellent description of
I think that we'll park that while we look at the Star and the Daily Nation in conjunction.
Okay.
MC Squared, why don't we look at the Star first?
The Star, I have CS Murkomen. He's ripping up the tracks of SGR like a carpet. And the SGR carpet is a very, very dark space with a paper labeled SGR deals. Now, Uhuru and Ruto are on the side, watching Murkomen keenly. Ruto himself seems slightly rattled. This is after Murkomen released the contents of the SGR deal. And people have really wondered.
Yeah, and the caption here says, the previous government kept us in the dark. Yet all three of the caricatures in this image are the previous government. So
That's hilarious.
What does that mean? Okay, then quickly, as we continue the conversation, let's look at the Daily Nation, which is Victor Ndula. Here we have a caricature of C.S. Murkomen holding a folder that is labeled Detailed SGR Contract, Confidential. And he says it's all here. However, the folder only has one page in it.
One sheet, yeah.
So of course, as MC Squared said, C.S. Murkomen had really hyped up that they were going to release these documents.
Yeah.
And when they did, it wasn't actually the contents of the contract, but rather just some details pertaining to the agreement. And some information that came out was that it is in the contract items that it cannot be released without authorization from the Chinese government. So
makes sense.
it was a lot of hot air, as the Standard said. And I just thought very quickly, hot air, this word, has become quite used in this past year, whether they were using it in regards to Martha Karua or to
the Kome and the justices.
Yes, exactly, the justices during the Supreme Court hearing, and then here again now. That's a lot of times within 3 months. So I just thought that I would go look at what this word actually means.
Okay.
So it just refers to empty talk that is meant to impress, that it is not sincere and will have no practical results. So, Mr. Onesimus Murkomen, yes, we know your full name.
Wow.
I would suggest you go look at what that word means and see if it applies to you. I think it might.
I really do not know what was he aiming to achieve with all this. Was it a distraction? And as you've said, was it trying to impress us with being transparent?
Possibly, and I think maybe they thought before seeing the contract they would be able to say more. And then they saw the fine details and realized that we couldn't. So this was the best they could do. Okay, so what do we say about the winning cartoon?
I think it's a toss-up between the Star and the Daily Nation.
Yes, I would agree. I think the lifting of the carpet is quite funny. So I say let's toss Gado for his convoluted and difficult to read cartoons, even though we do enjoy them. I vote for the Daily Nation as a winning cartoon.
Agreed.
I have to support you on this one.
Look at that. We have a double winning from the Daily Nation, winning headline, winning cartoon. So I have a Chinese proverb here that I would like to dedicate to President William Ruto.
Very apt.
And it says, a wise man makes his own decisions. An ignorant man follows public opinion.
Wisdom.
Love that.
All right, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Don't forget you can find us on your TV screens. We're on Pan Free to Air, GoTV, and Star Times. You can also find some of us on Twitter, on TikTok, on various platforms. Have a lovely evening, and we will see you tomorrow.